Hello everyone, this is Mark Blanton from the Real South Africa, and this time I have my wife here, Latasha.
Hello, I know it's been a while since you guys have seen me, but I am around, assisting and doing the things that we normally do.
Yeah, it gets a little busy over here in Africa sometimes. We get to, obviously during the pandemic, we're having a little difficult time getting out because of all the quarantines, but now we're lowering our quarantine status, so we're getting closer. We got a couple more levels to go to where we're totally free to go out. But right now we are pretty happy. We get opportunity to go and buy liquor now, which is a thing here in South Africa. And so that ended earlier this week on the 1st, and of course the lines were pretty long at those locations. I was there as well. I got mine. If you want to see the video, hit me up at info@therealsouthafrica.com and I will send you the video. It was absolutely crazy.
So like he said, we're in lockdown level 3, and it was so funny the day that he got up to go buy the liquor because he woke up super early, and I'm like, where are you going? He's like, I'm going to get in this line. Because if you think about it, we are going on, I don't know, almost 80 days now of lockdown. So we've not had an opportunity to buy any alcohol for that long. So people are definitely happy that that's available now. And we're part of that crew that's happy that it's available because we're running a little bit low, and that messes with your sanity if you can't have at least one drink or two drinks a week. So.
Or a beer.
You
gotta have a beer.
I don't drink beer, but that's his thing. So
yeah. One of the things that we want to bring to you guys is that we are still doing trips to South Africa. We got plenty of emails, people asking, hey, I want to go to Africa. I want to come to Africa. How do I get started? And things along that line. So we're still doing trips to South Africa. Right now, the international flights are a little difficult, but that's about to clear up. We are in contact with South Africa Tourism and the South African government here, and they assure us that they are working diligently to open up the international flights. And the reason that is such a big deal is because here in South Africa, tourism is a major part of the economy here. So it doesn't help them to have, everything closed. I think the total amount of people in the tourism industry that obviously feed their kids and so forth is roughly about 24 million people. So it's important that they work real hard to make it safe and to make it open for people to come here and enjoy what South Africa has to offer.
So with that being said, our packages are still available. You can find them. He just listed them on our Facebook page, but if you don't want to scroll through, you can always send us an email and we can shoot those to you directly. They're still heavily sought after. The one that's the most popular right now is the 10-day tour, whether it be to Johannesburg and Cape Town or just Cape Town or Johannesburg. And that's simply because those are the two places that people hear about the most. We personally live in Johannesburg, so this is our home. So we're super excited to share that with anybody that's looking to come for a visit. And then ultimately our goal is always to show you the actual lifestyles and culture here in South Africa. And then that leads you to start thinking about the possibilities for what your future could possibly be, which means that if you decide you want to move here, then we can absolutely show you the lifestyles that are available to you as an African American or as an American here in South Africa, living amongst the majority of people that look like you. And I think that's a huge thing for most people, given the climate that is erupting even more now in America. That's kind of the types of emails that we're getting. But we're still encouraging people to take that first visit. Then after the first visit, you'll have a better understanding of what South Africa can offer you. And then from there, we can make sure that you have a plan in place that allows you to take the steps that are necessary to get you on ground full time.
Exactly. Well, first of all, welcome to our home. We like 5 minutes in and we haven't welcomed you to our home, but this is where we stay here in Johannesburg. It's an awesome time to be here simply because, it's going into fall, but the weather is actually really nice today. I think it's going to be roughly about 71 degrees and sunny like normal. So it's a really good time. But hearkening back to, some of the emails, and this is something that we wanted to address. Look, there's a lot of stuff going on. in the U.S. And yeah, it's always been going on. It hasn't stopped. Goes all the way back, to 1619 when when we first got off those boats. And I always think about those guys. I think about a lot of strange things, and simply probably because I'm here, and we can always speak to our ancestors and maybe those I don't know, but those who know me as one of my ancestors. I can also say to you that I'm sure back early on when those first Africans who came off the boat, they were not slaves. They were turned into slaves, given the slave mentality. But those guys, I'm sure they longed for returning to Africa, anywhere in Africa. They didn't have to, pull a registry and say, where am I from in Africa? They just wanted to get back to Africa. And here we are, X amount of years later, we can sit here and chronicle our history there in the U.S. And one of the things that I hear a lot is that we built this country. We built this country, and that's not even a doubt. We did build that country, and we built a lot of things in that country, and a lot of us are extremely proud, and I'm one of them. However, we built Africa as well before the colonizers got here. Remember, I just said that before the colonizers got here. And so as much as you may not know about Africa, once you get here, you'll realize, especially South Africa, and the reason that we focus mostly on South Africa, because it's the closest to a first world country that you're going to find on the continent. I know a lot of times people are worried about particular things, some of the creature comforts of North America. I can tell you, right now, since we live here, that we enjoy those creature comforts as well, from the programming on TV and so forth. But we also get to enjoy the things that are here as well. So we kind of get both, being, that we can access a lot of the things from the U.S. And then, of course, a lot of things from the U.S. is pumped here that you don't know about. And there's a lot of things that happen here that people don't know. Like, for example, everybody has Netflix, but have you ever heard of Showmax? Okay, the reason why is because it's not a thing in the U.S. But that's a whole nother streaming service here, which is catered to the majority. Yeah, the majority. Yeah, and the majority of the people here are, look like me and you probably. So never discount, what South Africa has to offer as far as long term. There's a thing out now, well, it's been out for a while, Live the American Dream in South Africa. Yeah. I can tell you from our perspective, it's kind of funny, we did all the things that you're supposed to do, from owning the large businesses and things along that line, and it ultimately wasn't worth it. So to hold on to it meaning that I had to give up a lot of freedoms. I had to just give up a lot of things just to hold on to it, because that's what we were told that we needed to do. Well, once we let all that go and decided to, over a period of time, of course, it's just never an overnight, hey, I'm in America and then now I'm here. Actually, there's a process, and in that process, it took some time, but we got here. And since we've been here, we haven't regretted anything. And the good part about the entire process is that we get to go back to the U.S. anytime we want. Yeah.
Just to piggyback off of that, a lot of questions that we've also been getting have been centered around citizenship and residence. Yeah. Here's what I will say. You're an American citizen. There is no need for you to give up your American citizenship to be in South Africa. Your goal would be to become a permanent resident, where you get all of the, what word am I looking for? You get all of the things that come with being a citizen, except the right to vote. If you really want to vote, then by all means, take your path to citizenship. But the beauty of being a permanent resident is that you can still, I don't even know how to explain it any better than you get to matriculate South Africa as if you were a South African. You just can't vote. Yeah. And that may not mean very much to you, but as an American, I can say that I matriculated America as a second-class citizen, despite the fact that we've got you know, businesses that were under our belt, that I've got a doctorate degree, that we employed hundreds of people and tried to do everything right by the American standard, we still weren't treated as fairly as we should have been. Yeah. So those things go, I can take all of the good things from being an American citizen, bring those things here and still get to live as a South African citizen or a resident and put those things together. And I truly am living, quote unquote, the American dream in South Africa. I get to have all the things that I want. Yep. Free. And I don't mean free like I don't have to pay for them. I mean, I get to actually be free, free to think, free to create, free to be amongst people that look like me, freedom of judgment, freedom of fear.
Yeah, freedom of not being over policed everywhere you go. One of the things Tasha was talking about, and I kind of want to bring it up as well, is the citizenship path. You know, when you look at the U.S. and its immigration system, trust me, other countries outside of the U.S. do have an immigration system as well. We're not the only ones, okay? And as you see from standing in the U.S. and watching the news, that people do come to the U.S., but there are people that are trying to get into this country just as well. Mm-hmm. I will tell you this though, just like in the United States, it's a process, and obviously we don't have to know it because we're already citizens. But those that have matriculated to the U.S. can tell you the process. Well, there's a process to become a citizen here in Africa, and especially in South Africa. I can honestly tell you, it's not as difficult as those who are still in the process of trying to get their U.S. citizenship, who has been there roughly about 10 years. But it's similar here, but it doesn't take as long. But it's an arduous process, and you start out with your permit, and then you continue over a period of time as you have proven yourself. And when I say proven yourself, you haven't had any run-ins with the law. You've been following the law. You've been taking care of yourself. You've been gainfully employed, and or you have started your business. You are bringing value to the country and to the continent. So then that's when you can start saying, hey, you know what? It's beneficial for both of us to partnership. So what? And come to to terms, and then at this point you become a permanent resident. Like I said, permanent residency gives you a lot of freedoms, such as if you're a permanent resident and you have family members, they can come.
Yeah, I totally forgot about
that. They can come. That's a good thing. Another thing about, especially here in South Africa, we're not in the malaria zone. The good part about that is that you don't have to get any particular shots. The shots that you already have as a person in the U.S. Will work down here. No issues, no need for any of those types of things. The only thing that you really have to actively engage in up front is to get a passport.
Get a passport. An active passport with at least 5 clean pages. Those are the requirements. Most people that have passports have either have a passport with no stamps in it or very few. So if you have at least 5 pages, I suggest you start thinking about just making the trek to come over here. You know, people always have the same questions, but our best answer is always going to be to get here, see it for yourself. We show you you know, what life is like for us here. We show you where we live. We show you what's available to you. And it's not things that are glamorized. These are actually the truth, which is why the name of the company is The Real South Africa. I can easily go down and show you other things, but you can find those same things, any negative thing, in your own city and state. So there's no need for me to show you those things here, because if you come here, you will see the possibility for yourself. And that's the whole goal for us, to get you to see the possibilities of what your life could actually be like. And it all starts with just coming on a trip. So if you're interested in a trip, you can email us, info@therealsouthafrica.com, and we can start the process there. We have packages already available. You know, they range from 6 days to 13 days. Keep in mind, it takes a day to get here, which is why the trips are 6 days, 10 days, and 13 days, because you're going to spend at least a day or so to travel. But the travel is worth it. You're flying on an international flight. The planes are huge. The food is amazing. You get all the alcohol you want. The movies are amazing. And all those things, once you get here, you'll forget about the flight. You'll start enjoying fresh food. And food. Okay. So we've been hearing that there's shortages or some type of, what they call it, a food crisis or something in America.
Yeah.
We are technically in a third world country. We have not seen any shortages of anything. Meat is plentiful, fresh fruits and vegetables plentiful. Everything we need is actually, and toilet paper and paper towels, cleaning supplies, all those things are still readily available here. So people aren't hoarding here. They're very much aware that they need to share with the other people. They truly do live the Ubuntu, which is I am because you are. So they try their very best to take care of each other, and we're included in that. And I'm not going to take that for granted. So, so I enjoy those privileges every day.
Yeah. And, you know, speaking of Ubuntu and so forth, I can honestly tell you, I think one of the biggest privileges that I think that I enjoy the most about being here, and I call it a privilege because, you know, it's their country. It's not my country. This is my host nation. They allow me to be here based on their programs that they have set up that I follow, which is obviously get a visa. The good part about this visa process, if you come as a tourist, there's not too many countries in the world that's going to give you a 90-day visa free. Yeah. A 90-day visa free. So when we book your trip, don't turn around and say, well, I need to get a visa. You don't. This is South Africa. They do not require for tourists to come here to get a visa, which is awesome. You know, some places I know we went to Mozambique, they charged us a few dollars, and I think it was, I think it was $50. I think it was $50, and I think it was for 3 days. 3 or 4 days. It wasn't a week.
No, it was 21 days actually.
Was it? Oh yeah, it was. I'm so sorry. Sorry. But
we only stayed 3 days.
Yeah, we only stayed 3 days. That's why it was in my mind and whatnot. But being able to walk around in a country and be part of the majority. And let me explain to you a little bit more in detail what I mean. You know, you might consider yourself, I'm an American and then they're African, so you're separate. Let me explain something to you. Right here in South Africa, you have, 11 different cultures. And from our perspective, we would say, well, you have 11, they call it diversity here. In America, diversity is, what country you come from, like what, are you Hispanic? Are you black? Are you white? Are you a European? And then all those breakdowns. And that consists of diversity. Here, diversity is most of the people here are black, but they come from different cultures within the South African community. So they have different beliefs. They're all different, but they all live together and whatnot. And they even speak different languages. There's not too many South Africans you're going to find that speaks one language. They're gonna speak the only one that's going to speak one language is me. And that one.
Yeah, English.
Yeah. When you get here, you are inclusive. As soon as you get here, you are included. They look at you as one of theirs. So that's what it means to be part of the majority of people here, and that's a good thing.
It's a very good thing.
It's a very good thing. Excuse me. I'm so sorry. The funny part about it is I think the makeup here is like 63%, 64% black. And there's only 13% of the white South Africans that are here. So they are a small number, and they are the minority. The blacks here are the majority, which is a good thing for you, and so forth. Because, like I said again, you get to come and be part of it. So that is something that it's not like what is it? It's the Black Weekend at the beach or no. It's Every day. I know we have people that come and we took them to a nice area where there was music being played, food being sold, drinks being had, and everything was in order and so forth. And they was like, so what is this? And they was like, is it a festival or something for black people? And then we was like, no, this is just Saturday.
Yeah, or actually that could happen on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
And I think the last time we had a group here, we took them someplace. It was a Monday. They ended up having the entire place to themselves, had a whole party. The DJ played music that they wanted, and they're like, you can do this on this day. I'm like, it's just a Monday. You can kind of do whatever you want. So we're just encouraging you to think about the possibilities and the opportunities that exist here in South Africa. And I'll go back and say it again. It starts with an actual visit to this country. And that is what we want for you, which is why we do what we do. We want everyone, if possible, to experience South Africa or any part of Africa, but we just choose to say South Africa because this is where we've chosen to make our home. And it didn't take long for South Africa to feel like home. I came here on a visit 2011, was only here for 10 days and didn't want to leave because I understood a feeling that I never knew I needed to feel. And I can tell you, of all the people that have traveled with us, their words are very similar. They don't know what they don't know. So you can ask us 1,000 questions about South Africa. You can give me all the what ifs that you want, but the answer is always going to be the same. Until you get here, my experience, I can tell you what it is, but you have to feel it for yourself. And it is a feeling. It's an absolute feeling.
More than anything, it's a feeling. Of course, there's going to be great things to do and, and so forth. But like I said, it's more about how you feel when you look around and you see good looking black people sitting around you eating and maybe doing very well for themselves and so forth. Now, this is another area that I just wanted to cover in this video, and I probably will do another video to cover it a little bit more in detail. But let me say this. We get upset about what's going on within our community, but the issue is that we don't patronize our community, and Africa is our community. As much as you might not want to agree because it hurts, or you've been told one thing or another. It's your community. That's why they call you African Americans. African Americans. Now, let me just say this to you. People say, oh, well, America, Africa's poor and it's this and so forth. And in a lot of ways it is, but in a lot of ways it's not. I'm just telling you that right now. I've been more places in the U.S. than most people, and I'll put that up against pretty much anyone, to include other places in the world because of previous employment opportunities that I've had before. But I will tell you this. You have to patronize African countries. And this is why. This is the biggest reason why you need to. Because your tourism dollar is important to every African. Like here in South Africa, 24 million other people, which is almost half of the people, are in the tourism industry. This is how they feed themselves. This is how they put shoes on on kids' feet. This is how they pay for tuition at these, not just at college, but at the grade school level. They have to pay for it and so forth. This is how they do it. So what do they? So they're very proud of their country, and that's why they want you to come here, not just to be on safari all day, which you will go on safari. You will like it. However, it's that important. But what happens is Paris, London, Rome, all these other countries, even to include the Caribbean, they're all of them, besides the U.S. Virgin Island, is owned by foreigners. Not black people, foreigners. You know what I'm talking about. So what I'm saying to you is, when you say, hey, I'm gonna take me a quick trip to Mexico, yeah, it's a quick trip to Mexico, and yeah, it might cost a little less. Especially up front, but when you get there, you end up spending a whole bunch of extra money. You ultimately are buying into or investing into that foreign culture. It's a great culture. I've been to Mexico myself. I've sat on the beaches myself, but I understand now, and I wish somebody would have told me a long time ago, is that those funds are not being distributed to anybody that's black at all. And so when you go to Jamaica is not owned by the Jamaicans. It's just not, Bahamas especially. So when you come to Africa, the monies that are being spent are going to Africans. A lot of it is going to Africans. And so don't sit here and say to me, well, is it all the way through the top? Everything that you buy in the U.S., everything you do in the U.S., for the most part, are benefiting those same oppressors. But at least over here, you are definitely benefiting that B&B. the black person who owns their own safari situation, transportation situation. You're actually a part of the infrastructure, which is great. And that's what we need to be doing. We need to, Africa has 1.3 billion people. 1.3 billion. Most of them are black. The United States, we have what, 320 something million. So they have a billion more people on this side, and they can feed themselves, believe it or not. So what I'm trying to say to you is come here, invest. And that's how Africans, especially South Africans, look at it. Because let me tell you something, we are actually in the tourism industry here, deep. And when I mean that, do I know facts and figures? Yes. I'm asking you to come here on a tour with us, but I'm also telling you at the same time that they do count who comes through the gates for tourism. They do. They do. And people are saying, well, China this, China that. If you look at the actual numbers, China over the years they have been coming to Africa, especially South Africa, for a long time. And right now, they're the largest group of people that come here. They come here in droves because the weather, the food is good, and it's very nice. They come here in droves.
And there's opportunities here.
And there's opportunities, and that's why they stay. So, but see, here's the funny part about the whole thing. When Home Affairs here in South Africa, which is like Homeland Security or Immigrations, when they look at it, they say, hold on. We have all these Chinese people coming here to invest. These are individual people, not just companies, corporations, and governments. We got people that they come here and they look at the numbers, so they say, well, what can we do?
Yeah.
What can we do to encourage more people to come here and invest? So they make it a little bit easier for China or Chinese people to come here and immigrate, simply because they actually come here. Not because they're black, just simply because they come here and they invest. Now, South Africa, trust me, I've been in enough high-level meetings here, enough of them, where they ask me direct, because they don't have any other African-American to talk to. So they ask me direct, what would it take? And I say, look, first of all, we need to, do some grassroots effort to advertise and talk to Americans about travel to South Africa, because nobody seems like they can't get here, but they can, they can go to all these other places. It's actually the same process. You contact somebody like us, and then we sort you out. But the funny part about it is when you're sitting there talking to those governmental agencies here, they're like, and they have a pretty robust how to get here program, but most of y'all don't know about it, and that's why we're putting together a go-to guide that all you have to do is just shoot us an email at info@therealsouthafrica.com. Ask for this guide, and we will work with you to get that guide so you can start working on everything you need to know about South Africa. But my whole point is that South Africa wants to open up the borders for African Americans to come, but the numbers they don't support it. If the numbers were supporting it, they'd be like, hey, do what you got to do. They will open up everything just so an African American can get here. We can start going to their schools, which they're awesome. Yeah. There's so many things that they have here that we don't even have in the States, but they're not gonna. They want it for their citizens, but they want you to come as well. But you must come as a tourist. You must visit, and when the numbers suggest that African Americans are really interested, then they will put in all kind of even more programs to get here. Under the current situation, we're here. I'm talking to you from my house in South Africa. Why? Because it's possible.
It's funny because I was thinking about when you were talking. Every person in South Africa has a love for this country that they want to share with you. And that's what caused us to want to be here as often as we came, because they were so welcoming and so loving and so accepting. They wanted to show us their culture. And then on top of that, they would ask us questions like, how come not more African Americans are here? Why are you guys not home? And we had to start asking ourselves that same question, like, why is it that we're not here in bigger droves. There's a handful of us here and there, but collectively we need to decide what it is that we want for the rest of our lives. And we decided for us that South Africa was it. So they were happy when we decided to get into the tourism business, because they said the visit and the South African here that pulled us in, and we made the full loop. The full loop was you come on a visit, we show it to you, and then eventually you come back, you live here, and you get to invest in all of the culture and all of the people here in South Africa. So that is the ultimate goal of their tourism loop when they're asking us to speak to you as African Americans, to patronize, to visit South Africa, because they want to see more of the loop that caused us to be here. The loop is the visit, everything else falls into place, you start having some thoughts, and then ultimately you own a home, you have cars, you have children, and everything that you were thinking that you could not achieve or you had to work so hard to get in America becomes just a little bit easier here, because they're so willing to help you achieve your goal. Because at the end of it all, they want the same thing for your family as they want for their own. And they want you to be in a community where you can have full support and that you can understand the freedom of being in the majority and actually being able to be Black without fear. And that's what I've been able to experience the last almost 2 years of being here. I won't lie and say that the events that have happened in the States over the last few months have not caused me to have some type of emotional response. It has. I worry, like seriously worry about the state of my people that are in the US, and I long for them to be here. But I also know that thinking about being here as a reaction is going to disrupt the process. So we're coming and asking you in the midst of all of the chaos to just calm down, think about what it is you want, allow us to show you the steps, the transition, if that's the choice that you want to make. As he's talked about, we do have an ebook available that you are more than welcome to ask for. We'll send you the link if you want to purchase it. It's $15, and it basically just gives you a step-by-step guide of the things that you need to do to think about transitioning to South Africa. But it always ultimately starts with a visit.
Yeah, we've been dubbed in some circles the Tubmans. Even though our last name's Blanton, we've been dubbed the Tubmans because, people are saying, hey, you guys have been, have got a little underground railroad. Well, we're taking it mainstream. We're going mainstream. Obviously, we're not afraid and whatnot, but we're going mainstream. But one thing people said about Harriet Tubman was that she probably could have saved more people if they knew that they were slaves. She could have saved more people. And I'm not saying we're trying to save people, we just want to give people the opportunity. Now, one of the things you need to do is go to our website, therealsouthafrica.com. Just go to the website. There's a lot of information there in reference to trips and so forth. We will take care of you from the time you get off the plane at OR Tambo Airport to the time we put you back on the plane based off the locations that you want to go to. We will take care of you fully. We got a whole infrastructure here in South Africa that'll make your whole experience the best. And the reason why we say that is because we took a lot of time to make sure that you have good transportation that takes you everywhere. Everywhere that you're going to go, we've already been. We have contacts in all these different places, and they know who we are, and of course, they know us. So it's just to your advantage. Take advantage of the system that's already in place. And like I said, as time go on, just go to our website. That's basically all I can say. Just go to our website. And if you have any questions, you can send us an email. Either myself or Tasha will answer it. Is info@therealsouthafrica.com, and our our website address is www.therealsouthafrica.com.
So if you like this video, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. If there's any other content that we didn't mention or something that you want us to do a video on, you can always drop that in the comments below. And we hope to see you all in person in South Africa sometime in the near future. Thanks so much for watching. Keep safe, stay well. God bless.